Another, sort of topic that I wanted to touch upon related to your trading is the idea of risk and how you approach risk. I think it's a really interesting concept that you have, with R and R multiples. So can you maybe, for people who don't already know what that looks like and how you approach risk, can you maybe give a bit of a background on that?
Yeah, so R is a concept that was popularized by Van Tharp. He is you know, he's been working in the industry. I mean, just go look it up. They can say it much better than I can. Google him, YouTube him, learn about R. It's a fantastic way to think about risk and also manage it on a practical level because it's based in very simple principles. So, for example, R is basically just what you intend to risk on a trade. Everyone, doesn't matter who you are, you should know when you hit your stop loss, how much will I lose? In order to do that, Van Tharp suggests that you risk a certain percentage of your account so that you give yourself the best opportunity to survive in the market. So, for example, if you have a $10,000 account and you're risking 1R, that would be 1%, and that would be $100. Um, in this situation, you can lose literally 100 times in a row, and that's when your account's going to blow up. But actually, more so than that, because we're introducing another aspect of it with compounding. So, like, if you lose, you might be risking 99, 95, 90 next day, etc. That actually increases your lifespan a lot more. And this centers around the concept of risk of ruin, which is very, very important. Similar to poker, you want to manage your bankroll. You don't want to go bust. In trading, I view it the same way because with R, you're very cognizant of number one, what you're going to risk, but also like how does that impact your account. And because you're able to trade responsibly proportion to your account, you're going to be able to grow it, not even really slowly, actually, I would say, but you're going to be able to grow it at a consistent pace with less volatility, upside and downside. And you're going to, not, most importantly, be able to survive in this game because if you can't if you can't learn all the lessons you need to learn and you feel that you know everything, which you definitely don't, because even the best traders in the world are constantly learning. The ultimate key is just to survive. Um, so anyway, so with R, I know exactly how many times I can lose. I know exactly how much risk I'm willing to put on a position, even in the worst case scenario. Like I might risk uh 3, 4R if I know I can make 5 or 6R, which is just think of it as a multiple of your risk, basically. The other psychological aspect of this is as we grow in as traders, we want to achieve scale as best as possible. And for a lot of people, when they start thinking of risk in terms of dollars, whether or not you have experience with large sums of money in your professional career outside of trading or whatever your background, everyone has kind of a breaking point. And these are points where, like, if you had, let's say you had your unrealized P&L up on your platform and you were looking at it, highest size you've ever been on and just fluctuating up and down, up and down. You're thinking like, this is my mortgage payment. This is how much it costs me to buy my car. Uh, when these thoughts start coming to your head, it has a significant influence on the ability to execute your trade and not react emotionally to what you're doing. And you never want to, you never want to induce that state of fear or anxiety, because what happens is that you will make mistakes like doubling down or fighting something that you wouldn't necessarily. That's huge. So with R, you kind of depersonalize, and also it's much simpler as well if you think about it, because you're reducing it to the most common denominator, like lowest common denominator. So it's like it doesn't matter if I'm risking like a very obscure number like 1,127. If I know that's my R and I know what the multiples of all those are up or down, then it makes it very easy to analyze and post. So like for example, at the end of the day, I can look at my executions and say like, okay, I made like 2.245 and I was risking 1,127 or something like that. As long as you know what your base risk was and you position size correctly, you can identify, okay, that was 1 point whatever times or 2 times whatever. And same goes for the reverse side, which is the slippage side, or even when you're losing. So you can be like, okay, I got out a little bit, you know, I let it go a little bit more than the stop. And for that reason, I lost 1.5 R, I lost 2 R this trade. That's unacceptable. Like it helps put things into perspective. And I feel like people don't drill down into those details enough to like really analyze how well they're executing. Because at the end of the day, like trading is all probability. And no matter how well you think you did, it's like it can still not work out. But if you can look at it and be like, okay, I intended to risk $100 and I did lose $100. Even if you lost in every single trade that day, you executed 100% and you can feel good about that day. I think competitive athletes or people who play games where there are probabilities, it's like you have to accept that you can lose for absolutely random reasons. But the only thing you can control is actually your risk. R is a way to compartmentalize that in a way where psychologically it's consistent throughout your entire career, whether you risk $1,000 or $100,000 in the future. 1R is not it. It's a very simple concept, but it has a huge effect on the account and also your psychology. So the key is really understanding this, and um, you can. It's like you can post on Twitter and be like, "I made like 10K on this trade," right? But if people don't understand exactly what was the risk involved to make 10K, you could have risked 20K to make 10K. It's like the final result looks great, but when you can prove that the risk you put on, justifies why that's a great trade, like you risked 1,000 to make $10,000, then that's way more impressive to me. So I'm always looking for what did someone risk and what did they make? Because the other aspect of this that even goes way deeper is that once you understand like the formula of being profitable, which is your average win to your average loss ratio and your win rates, and you can quite literally plot an equity sim online, just look up equity sim calculator simulator. You can quite literally see what is a profitable strategy and what is a profitable stat line. Using R, you're going to be able to distill exactly what you need to do. And the funny part is that like I've been in calls with traders in the past where I was like, okay, let's like I don't care about the money you make, whatever. Let's break it down to like what is 1R and what's your average win, what's your average loss, and your win rate. And I've seen and I've showed them exactly that the their stats do not produce a positive equity curve. Like they're literally slowly going down. And it's like, it's a sad thing. And it's also a huge realization for people because it's like, no matter what you do, you can improve every day and feel like you're always getting better. If you have that expectancy, you will not make money. Fact. And it goes in the reverse. You can make it that you will make money consistently if you can achieve the stat line. So understanding R helps you translate into the big picture as well. And you it helps you understand why executing is good, why it's very, very important. And it's like you'll start to notice that, like, for example, if you have a 3-to-1 risk reward, you can have like a 30% win rate and be profitable. But if you have a 3 to like 1.25 or 3 to 1.5, where you lose 1.5 every time you don't respect your stops, then now it's just a 2-to-1. And the 2-to-1 at 30%, you're gonna lose money every time. So it's like, and even just small tweaks. So 3 to like 0.75, you can have like a 4-to-1 win rate, 4-to-1 risk reward by just reducing how much you lose. And it's like, if you understand exactly what you're doing there, you can manipulate the stats to produce an equity curve that is positive and not be worried about being profitable. Just worry about the execution. That's the importance of R, and it's a very all-encompassing kind of framework. And we didn't even talk about compounding, but that's a whole nother story. So it's like you put all these things together and trading doesn't become such a mystery anymore.